Allensworth was born in 1842 in Louisville, Kentucky, the youngest of 13 children to Phyllis and Levi Allensworth. Since birth, the family was subjected to slavery and saw his siblings separate, from his sister Lila escaping to Canada to his older brothers being sold to plantations in the Deep South. One sister remained, Mary Jane, who eventually purchased her freedom and married. However, Allen was assigned to look after the slaveholder's youngest son, Thomas Starbird. As Thomas learned in school, so too did Allen from the books that Thomas brought home. When Allen's father died, his mother was sold off to a neighbor. Soon the Starbirds had found Allen learning to read and sent him to live with another family named the Talbots, who were Quakers. Mrs. Talbot helped Allen read and write and took him to Sunday school for children of slaves. This act angered the Starbird family that still owned Allen and forced him to return. But the kindness shown by the Talbots had a long-lasting effect on Allen, and the positive memories of Sunday school stuck with him. At 12, Allen was taken to a plantation along the Mississippi River in Henderson, Kentucky, and began working under Hebe Smith as a houseboy. He was instructed never to touch a book or else get whipped. Another boy in the house named Eddie knew of his hardship. Eddie was a white orphan, and the two became pals. It was now 1855, and Allen tried to escape to Canada, but was taken back and punished. After another attempt, his owner put him on the auction block in Henderson, before being sold again in Memphis, Tennessee, and delivered to a Fred Scruggs in Louisiana. Scruggs positioned him to work as a jockey, and seeing he could read, put him on his best horse. Allen went to competition in Louisville, and on one trip he heard his mother was in town and made plans to visit. His mother Phyllis had just been freed by her last master, Reverend Bayliss, who released her after she took care of his dying wife. After release, she went south with a Union man to find her children, and Allen would be reunited with his sister Mary Jane and mother Phyllis. While working in Louisville, Union soldiers of the 44th Illinois Voluntary Infantry set up camp nearby and spoke to Allen about joining the hospital corps to become free. In disguise, Allen met with the unit and marched like a soldier past his master, who was scratching his head. Was that Allen? The young man served and gained respect in the civilian nursing unit and quickly saw mentorship under Dr. A.J. Gordon, a surgeon from Georgetown, Ohio. Allen lived with the family as a friend. Outside the house, the Civil War raged on, and in 1863, Allen enlisted in the U.S. Navy. It would become his first paycheck, and in a short time, he achieved promotions to captain, steward, and clerk, serving on the ships Queen City and Tawa for 2 years. Following his service, Allen made his way back to Kentucky to work and study. He joined his brother William in St. Louis in 1868, operating a series of restaurants which, after some success, were sold for a fair price. He traveled to Louisville with his share of the money, and he continued to work while attending the Eli Normal School, a venture of the American Missionary Association. Amid Reconstruction, Allen was a teacher at various schools for freedmen and their children. He promoted his students to achieve greater heights and took his own advice by taking class at the Nashville Institute, which is presently the Roger Williams University, where a lady by the name of Josephine Leavell won his heart. Although he did not graduate, the school would later give him an honorary Master's of Art. Allen went to Tennessee to study theology and became an ordained Baptist preacher in 1871. At the age of 33, Allen took work as a teacher in Georgetown, Kentucky, and acted as the General Association of the Colored Baptists financial agent in Kentucky. Allen was one of the founders of the State University and served on the board of trustees. Further, he reorganized churches in Louisville and attracted many more new members. In 1877, Allen proposed marriage to Josephine, whom he met at school, an attractive Kentucky-born music teacher. They gave birth to 2 daughters, Eva and Nella. And that same year, Allen offered to care for his mother, who spent her remaining months with the family. Allen worked at the State Street Church in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and studied public speaking, and gave a series of lectures at his home and as far away as Boston. Allen believed strongly in Sunday school's element at the church and was appointed as superintendent to oversee its programs for the entire state. Allen could now see his work had value to the community, and his position gave him a nudge towards politics. In both 1880 and 1884, he became the first black delegate of Kentucky to attend the Republican National Conventions. He spoke of the administration and its need for change. At 44, Allen was well liked among his political colleagues, who decided to vote him in as chaplain in the U.S. Army. His assignment would be with the 24th Infantry Regiment, also known as the Buffalo Soldiers. He took his family west, traveling from Fort Bayard, New Mexico Territory, to Fort Supply in Indian Territory, and Fort Harrison near Helena, Montana. His wife accompanied him in the chapels, and she would play organ for the troops. While at Fort Bayard, Allen wrote Outline of Course of Study and the Rules Governing Post Schools of Fort Bayard, New Mexico. An important piece adapted by the Army as a manual on the education of enlisted personnel. Around 1906, Allen retired, having achieved the rank of lieutenant colonel, at first among African Americans. He settled down in Los Angeles, but continued to feel the effects of racism. He once wrote of a berated encounter in a Kansas City hotel, to which he said, "Well, sir, if that's the way you insult a gentleman, I don't want to stop in your hotel. Return my money and I will leave." Allen dreamed of a self-sufficient, all-black California community, a place where African Americans could be free of racial discrimination and, by his own account, create sentiment favorable to intellectual and industrial liberty. Allen, who admired Booker T. Washington, who was president of the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, hoped his idea for a community could be self-sufficient as the Tuskegee of the West. This bold task was started in 1908, when Allensworth was established in Tulare County, California. Following his dream, black settlers came to build their homes, streets, and infrastructure. From the start, there was a church, orchestra, glee club, and a brass band. Allensworth was a member of the county school district and regional library system and a voting precinct. The residents were excited by the many government firsts, including an African-American justice of the peace. By 1914, the community reached 900 acres. Allensworth became a town and saw community groups grow, including the Campfire Girls and the Children's Saving Association. At the same time, adults took part in sewing circles, the debating society, and a theater club, to name a few. The Girls' Glee Club was even internationally recognized. The town streets bear the names of notable African Americans or white abolitionists. There's Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, poet Paul Laurence Dunbar, and Harriet Beecher Stowe. But the area was desolate, and hardship fell on people trying to farm the dry and dusty soil. Complicating it further, they had water issues, and sadly, the Santa Fe Railroad moved its stop from Allensworth to Alpaugh. But perhaps most devastating of all was the death of its founder. On September 14, 1914, Allen was walking across the street in Monrovia when a motorcyclist fatally struck him. He died at the age of 72. However, the legacy of Allen in the town's history lives on. As Colonel Allensworth State Historic Park, there are annual events that bring thousands of visitors to pay tribute and enjoy the many enjoyable activities. This is Biographies of the West. Thank you for watching.